here we are. Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome again to the Saturday Sanga. Saturday Sanga. Which is a bit of a play on the word sat. Sat Verde Sanga. Sat Sanga, Saturday Sanga. Right, so nice to see you all. And nice to be with you all on this finally sunny day after weeks of clouds and rain here in Poland. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitangscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshat Dharine Vanchakalpatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha He Krishna Karana Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Shri Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So, welcome. First question, Manibanda, your health is better? Are you able to translate? You're translating. Okay, good. Little later, I want to speak with Rajabhakti, who I see is here, and Kali Parayana about the letter I got from Kali Parayana. Something we should talk about. But first, let's sing a song, shall we? Before we sing a song, let's read a song. Let's read through the song. Let's first get it visible here. We could go back to last week's song briefly, just to remember what we had. These are all kabe, when, oh when songs. When will I directly worship Shishi, Radha, and Krishna? And in that song we sang last week, when accompanying myself on a musical instrument, will I happily sing sweet songs describing the beautiful forms and qualities of the divine couple. And he's addressing the Goswamis, Rupa, Sanatan, Raghunath, Jiva, and he's anticipating their mercy. And this was the interesting one. He addresses Lalita and Vishaka and Sridhama and Subala and says, please be merciful to me this one time. And finally he says, Shabe mili korodoya puruk mora asa prarthana koraye shada Narottama. All of you, please be merciful to me and fulfill my desires. So he's addressing all of these on you could say two different levels, the Goswamis, and then these eternal associates. Of course, we understand the Goswamis are also eternal associates, but they're not referred to by, Manjari identities. They're referred to in their, let's say, this worldly form. All right, and today we have another, now we have another section. This is still the Prarthana of Narottama Das Thakur, but it's Sadhaka Dehocita Sri Vrndavana Basa Lalasa, song number 1. So Sadhaka Deha means the body of a practitioner, as opposed to a siddha deha, the body of one who's perfected. And then uchita would mean arising. So the longing, lalasa, to be a resident of Sri Vrindavan, arising in the sadhaka deha, I think one could translate that way. And the song is Hari Hari Aroki Emon daśā hobo bhava sāra tyaji parama ānande maji hobe vrajabhūme yābo. When will I renounce the circle of material family life and, drowning in transcendental bliss, go to vrajabhūme, O Lord Hari, when will this be? So this song is going to be lots of asking this question, when? When is it going to happen? And here we have bhava samsara, which could mean sort of generally just material existence of repeated birth and death. It's been translated here, though, as the circle of material family life. And in Bengali, the word samsara can mean family life. So bhava, and bhava, as we know, is different from bhava. Bhava is existence, but more specifically, it's understood material existence, the state of being conditioned and being suffering in the phenomenal world. Parama ānande maji. When am I going to drown in transcendental bliss? Maji, majibo. Or be immersed in hobe, vrajabhūme yābo. When will I yābo? When will I go to vrajabhūme, to Sri Vrndavana? Sukhamaya Vrndavana, hobe, daraśana, dhūli, makibo kobegai, prema gada gada hoya, rādhā-kr namaloya, kandiya bedabo ubarai. When will I see the blissful land of Vrndavana? Of course, darshan means sight, and daraśana is just adding a syllable for metrical purpose. Vrndavana, what sort of place is it? It's sukhamaya. It's full of sukha, of happiness, or constituted of sukha. She dhūli makibo kobegai. When will I smear the dust of Vrndavana over my body? Makibo must mean will smear. And when will I walk about Vrndavana, loudly singing the names of Radha and Krishna? So that's prema, preme, gada gada hoya. Gada gada means choked. It's a nice sort of, in English we would say, onomatopoeic expression. It's a word which sounds something like what it means. Gada gada. Gada gada. So it's like that. Preme gada gada hoya. So in prema, being choked up, gara gara, Radha Krishna namaloya, having taken the name Radha and Krishna, kandiya, crying, bedabo ubarai. And there, I'm not quite sure what it is. Crying, of course. Voice choked with ecstatic love. That's preme gada gada. So I'm not quite sure what bedabo. I will sing, I will walk about, maybe. But ubarai, I could only guess. And I can't even guess. Nivrata nikunje jaya ashtanga pranata hoya. Dakibo ha radhanat boli. Kobe jamunar tire. Parasha koribo nire. Kobe pibo korapute tuli. When in a solitary place, solitary grove in Vrndavana, will I offer my full obeisance to the divine couple? When will I call out, "Oh, Krishna, oh, Master of Srimati Radharani"? When, standing on the shore of the Jamuna, will I drink some of its water in my cupped hands? Well, when Narottama was writing this, the Jamuna river was certainly even from a uh, mundane perspective, much more clean water than it is today. So now I don't know if I would recommend drinking from the Yamuna. Samudra Sen was always doing that when I was staying there in 2001. He would go every day and bathe in the Yamuna, and he would drink Yamuna water, and he didn't get sick. Okay, so Nikunja, of course, is a bower, a sort of private place within a forest. Nibrita is here, I guess it means secluded. And Jaya, having gone. Ashtanga pranata oya. So we've heard of Ashtanga yoga. Ashta means 8, and anga means limbs. So Ashtanga pranata, pranama. Pranata is obeisances. Dakibo, I will call, I will shout. Ha, Radhanath. I will call out, oh, Lord of Radha. Kabe Jamunar Tire. So Tire is on the bank of the Yamuna, Yamunara. Parasha Horibo Nire. Parasha is from sparsha, to touch. Kabe Pibo. Yeah, again, I'm not sure nire can be water. I will do the drinking. Kabe Pibo. Pibo, I will drink. Karapute tuli. Must mean, yeah, kara, of course, means hand. So we have karatala. We play karatalas. What does karatala mean literally? It means the palm of the hand. So karatala is, we call it kartals in, in, in American English, kartals. Prabhu, can you play the kartals? So karapute, I guess, like cupped in the dhūli, maybe equally in the two hands. Then number 4, when will this be? Arakobe emon hobo. Shri rasa mandale yābo kobe gadagadi dibo tai. Bamshi vata chaya bhaya parama ānanda hoya horiya rohibo taro chai. When will this be? When will I go to the arena of the rasa dance and roll about in the dust, overwhelmed with ecstasy? The transcriber of this song is not entirely consistent with how he or she has done it. Because, for example, in the last verse, Nivrita Nikunja Jaya, and then, so Jaya and Yābo would be the same first letter. It's a kind of a Y which is pronounced as a J at the beginning of words in Bengali. Anyway, Kobe when gada gadi dibo tai. Gada gadi, I guess, means rolling about in the dust. Then Vamshivata Chaya Paya. When Paya actually means having gained, and Chaya, I believe, means the shadow or the shade. So having gained the shade of the Vamshivata, parama ananda hoya, there will being parama ananda, ecstasy, supreme ecstasy. Pariya, having fallen, rahibo tarachai, I will remain, rahibo tarachai, I will remain there, overwhelmed by bliss. And finally, kabe, govardhana giri, dakibo nayana bhari, kabe hobe, rādhā-kr vas. Brahmite kabe, e deho portana hobe, kohe din Narottama Dasa. When will I see Govardhan Hill, my eyes filling with tears? Filling is body. I think it would be badiya. Dakibo, when will I see? Nayana, my eyes. When will I reside at Radhakunda? Basa means residence. Literally, when will there be residence in Radhakunda? Excuse me, when, as a result of constantly wandering in Vrindavan, Brahmite kove, e Dehopatana hobe, this body will fall down. There will be the falling. This body will be falling. Poor-hearted Narottama Das speaks in this way. Kohe Deen Narottama Das. Kohe, he speaks. Who speaks? Narottama Das. Who is Narottama Das? He is Dina. He's feeling very lowly. So that's nice. Okay. Music time. Here we go. Change.
Guru Maharaj, if I can suggest, if you can unblur your background, because now you have blur background, but when you remove away from yes, then we can see half of you, and it's really strange.
Oh, all right. Let's see. I have to think if I remember how to do that.
Stop video when the icon for
icon.
yes, perfect.
How's
Thank
that?
you very much. Yes.
Oh, it's kind of a mystical effect if I'm disappearing and appearing. Anyway, okay. Okay. Today I took the bigger harmonium. Let's see if I can do this. Hari Hari Araki emon daśā. Hari Hari Araki emon daśā. E bhava sāra tyaji parama ānande maji. E bhava sāra tyaji parama ānande maji hobe vrajabhūme yābo hobe vrajabhūme yābo sukhamaya Vrndavana hobe daraśana sukhamaya Vrndavana hobe daraśana dhūli hobe gaya dhūli hobe gaya preme gada hoya rādhā-kr loya preme gada hoya rādhā-kr loya kandiya bedabo darai kandiya bedabo ubarai nibritani kunje jaya ashtanga pranata hoya nibritani kunje jaya nakibo radhana. Whoops. Let me start that over. Nibritani kunje jaya ashtanga pranata hoya nibritani kunje jaya ashtanga pranata hoya dakibo haradhana boli dakibo haradhan boli hobe jamunarātire parashako ribonire hobe jamunarātire parashako ribonire hobe pibo karapute dhūli hobe pibo karapute dhūli hobe emona hobo Shri rasa mandale yābo hobe emon hobo Shri rasa mandale yābo hobe gada gadi dibo thai hobe gada gadi dibo thai Vamshivata Chayapaya Parama ānanda hoya Vamshivata Chayapaya Parama ānanda hoya Hadiya rahibo tara Hadiya rahibo chaya Kave govardhana giri Dakibo nayana bari Kave govardhana giri Dakibo nayana bari Kave habe rādhā-kr Basa Kave habe rādhā-kr Basa Brahmite brahmati kobe Ede hopatana hobe Brahmite brahmati kobe Ede hopatana hobe Kohedina Narottama Dasa Kahedina Narottama Dasa Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Golden Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare Haribo 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 Go Haribo Nitya Haribo 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 Go Haribo Srila Narottama Thakura ki jai. So Narottama Das Thakur is continuing to express longing, Lalasa. And he specifies what he's longing for. And in this song, he's especially longing for Vrndavana. And we understand that is a form of service to Vrndavana, Dhamma Seva. To long for Vrndavana is to engage in one sort of Dhamma Seva. Here at Sadhu-bhavan, we've been reading very gradually a few verses each day of Sri Vrndavana Mahimamrita of Prabodhananda Saraswati Thakur. And he is describing a very, very, you might say, irresistible Vrndavana, a place that one becomes inspired by hearing from him to just run to Vrndavana.
Guru Maharaj, can you switch off?
Oh yeah, thank you. And this seems to be what Narottama himself wanted from an early age, according to the biography of Mother Shitala. You maybe remember last week that Narottama was diverted by his father from going to play in the river Padma because of the warning at the time of his birth or before his birth. Don't let him get near the river. There's danger. And so his father takes that very seriously. And at one point, little Narottama's about to run off to the river with his friends. And, no, don't stop. Come back. You know you're not supposed to go there. And instead, they go for an evening program, as we might say, of apparently a visiting sadhu is speaking. And what is he speaking? He's speaking about the Goswamis, the 6 Goswamis. He's describing Raghunath Das and his great determination to give up home and go and join Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he describes also Raghunath Das's extreme austerity, all of which is fascinating to little Narottama. And so, as Shitala Devi describes, after this lecture, Krishnananda, his father, the king, and his family went to their private rooms. And he says, "Come, Narottama, sit down with me. Let's have some sweet rice." And little Narottama says, "But Pita, what is Raghunath Das eating? Do you think we should be eating such opulent food? Raghunath was simply begging his food at the Singadvara gate in Puri." And Krishnananda is laughing. "Oh, this charming little child. Oh, Naru, do you think you have become a sadhu like Raghunath Das? And Krishnananda was pleased that Narottama had been listening so nicely to the lecture by the sadhu. "Oh, you're a clever child." And he says, "Yes, it'll be nice if you learn to take guidance from the sadhus. Very good. Serve the Vaishnavas. Very good." And then they proceed to eat the sweet rice from silver bowls. And then Narottama says to his father, Pita, why don't we leave home? Leave home? Why should we leave home? Everything is so nice here. No, Pita. We should run away like Raghunathas. We can stay at a dharamshala. But make sure that your servant doesn't bring gold coins with him. Why? What is that? Remember the story we heard about Sanatana Goswami? His servant almost got them killed because he secretly brought gold coins. So Krishnananda is amused and he's laughing and he says, oh, don't be fantasizing. We can't imitate such devotees like Raghunathas. These are great souls. We can worship them, but we can never become like them. We have to perform our duties to care for our citizens. And Narottama says, yes, Daddy, yes, Pita. But what was he thinking? He was thinking, yes, you cannot become like them, but I can and I will. Yeah, so he's already getting ready for renunciation. Little does his father know. Today is, if I'm not mistaken, Shivaratri. Yes, and Vaishnavas worship Shiva as the best of Vaishnavas. And so to mark this occasion, I thought we can read one or two verses from Bhagavatam. This is Canto 8, Chapter 7. Lord Shiva saves the universe. So there's been some churning of the ocean, the milk ocean, and they've produced this dangerous poison. They come to Lord Shiva for help, and they're offering prayers. Tvam eka sarva jagata ishvaro bandha mokshayo tang tvam archanti kushalaha prapannarti harangurum. O Lord, this is verse 22. O Lord, you are the cause of bondage and liberation of the entire universe, because you are its ruler. Those who are advanced in spiritual consciousness surrender unto you. And therefore, you are the cause of mitigating their distresses, and you are also the cause of their liberation. We therefore worship your lordship. So they're describing qualities of Shiva which are relevant to what they want. They want him to help to protect from the poison. He can mitigate the distresses of sheltered devotees. Prapanna arti haram. Hara means one who removes, and arti, not arati as in the worship process, but arti means distress. Chaturvida bhajante mam jana sukritino arjuna arto jigyasra artarti. Arta means distress, and prapanna, literally one who's thoroughly fallen flat, so making submission. So that's Lord Shiva. He relieves. The next verse, guna maya svashaktyasya sargastiti apyayan vibho dhatse yada svadrik bhuman brahma vishnu shiva vidam. O Lord, you are self-effulgent and supreme. You create this material world by your personal energy, and you assume the names Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshvara when you act in creation, maintenance, and annihilation. So, of course, the Shaivites will say, ha, you see, even in the Bhagavatam, it says that Shiva is supreme. Prabhupada says in the purport, this prayer is actually offered to Lord Vishnu, the Purusha, who, in his incarnations as the Guna avatars, assumes the names Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwara. So this is the ongoing dispute between the Vaishnavas and the Shaivites. One more, very briefly. Tvam Brahma Paramanguhyam Sadasat Bhava Bhavanam Nana Shaktivir Abhatas Tvang Atma Jagat Ishvara. You, O Shiva, are the cause of all causes, the self-effulgent, inconceivable, impersonal Brahman, which is originally Parabrahman. You manifest various potencies in this cosmic manifestation. So like this, they're offering very nice prayers to please Lord Shiva, who will then please them by reciprocating. He'll reciprocate with them by taking on the very special service of swallowing this terrible poison and keeping it in his throat. So, Lord Shiva Maheshvara Mahabhagavata Ki Jai. In a few minutes, I think, dear Alita can confirm, we'll have Navadvipa Candra with us. Is that right?
He's already here, Guru Maharaj.
Oh, are you already here? Well, welcome. I don't see him yet, but welcome to you, Navadvipa Candra. We'll get to you in a very soon. I just want to speak to one of our devotees here. Are you
Raja Bhakti?
Huh?
Raja Bhakti?
Yes, Raja Bhakti. Are you here? And also
Kili Parayana.
Parayana. Are you here?
Yes.
You're both here. Okay. Oh,
Hare
there
Krishna, Guru Maharaj. I'm
Hare
here.
Krishna. Yes, good. So I just this morning saw the letter from you, and yeah, I'm very sorry to hear about this threat that's being made. And I've been thinking what to do. What are the options, the practical options, but of course the spiritual options, to explain for the devotees in general, there's been a threat for devotees in Mendoza. They live kind of out in the country in an area which is a little bit wild. They've been threatened that some thieves will come and that they will come armed. They will come with weapons. So understandably, you're very concerned, disturbed about this. And on the side of what to do internally first, I think this is what is most essential, to go beyond anxiety and fear is to understand that, as we always understand, or we try to understand, Krishna is in control. And Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Ananyas chintayanto mam ye jana paryupasate tesham nityavayuktanam yogakshema vahamyaham. This yogakshema vahami, I carry what they have and I provide what they lack, is Prabhupada's translation. So we want to have faith in Krishna's statement. He says, Vahami, I carry. It's literally I carry. And as it's explained by the acharyas, this, we should take note of this. This is Krishna personally saying, I will personally provide. And from that perspective, even if someone comes and takes everything from us, Hare Krishna, maybe Krishna wants somebody else to have whatever we think we are the owner of. All right. Let it be so. Let them take whatever they think they have to take. Better that than we try to resist, and then they, in their anxiety, they use some weapon against you, against the devotees. The priority, in other words, is keeping safe yourselves. And to that point, you've maybe thought of different options. I don't know what are the different options, but I was wondering, because you said that Baladev will be going away, he'll be traveling for some time. And so that leaves Vrajabhakti by herself. I guess the question is, could she also go elsewhere during that time? Could she stay with, you're shaking your head and saying, no, she can't do that. Is that because of the dogs to take care of, or I don't know. Take the deities with her. I don't know. Not practical. Not practical. Okay. Another thing you can do sort of ritually, you could have the devotees chant the Nrsimha prayer as they do a yajna, and they can install a pot with water, and then by the process of the yajna to Nrsimhadev, install Nrsimhadev in the pot, and then the water from that pot after the yajna, you can go around the perimeter of the property and just sprinkle and chant kirtan and Ugram Vira Mahavishnum Jvalantam Sarvatomukam Nrsingham Bhishanam Bhadram Rityum Namamya. That verse can just be chanting that, and sprinkle water all along the perimeter of the property. And the third thing you can do is request Ramananda Gopal in Singhachalam. Are you with us, Ramananda?
No,
Yes.
he's not with us.
Not here today.
No.
You can request Ramananda Gopal to perform a yajna on behalf of the temple and the property for Nrsingadev at Singhachalam in Germany. He does this, I think, fairly often. He's doing yagyas for different devotees, different circumstances. So, yes, let me know if you need help to contact him. Otherwise, I think other devotees know. So that's what comes to my mind. And let Krishna be the protector in all cases. Yeah. Okay. And we can all pray for Vrajabhakti and all the devotees, that everyone keeps safe. Right. Okay. Good. I think now I can say, first of all, I'll say again, welcome to all of you who have joined us. I won't go through all your names today because patiently waiting for us is Navadvipa Candra Prabhu. I will welcome Navadvipa Candra Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, and Hare Krishna to all the devotees. It's a pleasure to be here.
Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Vaishnavibhyo namo namaha.
Itanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo namo namaha.
Thank you for joining us. You've taken some time from your schedule, and you're very kind to do this. We thought it's nice if you come and speak to our little, we call Saturday Sanga gathering, something about your experience of course, reading the Bhagavatam, but teaching the Bhagavatam, or maybe we should say more generally, teaching Shastra. When maybe first a few words about yourself, your history, how it is you've come to be where you are, and then how it is you came to be teaching, facilitating the Shastra courses at Bhaktivedanta Manor.
Thank you, Maharaj. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you for the devotees for your presence. I always relish the opportunity to be in the Sangha with Maharaj. It happens a few times every year, whether it's a class or whether we request Maharaj to teach as a special speaker in our Bhakti Vaibhav course at Bhaktivedanta Manor. I always relish those moments, and I have probably many notes that I've made just from Maharaj's classes himself over the years. Morning classes and Bhagavatam specific classes, Bhakti Vaibhav. So I relish those. And so thank you very much for this chance. And this is a very nice gathering, about 60 devotees or so.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm humbled that you would find something of interest in my little journey, or my little attempt to teach. I joined the manor about 20 years ago, 2003, 21 years now. And
you must have been just a kid.
Yes, I was 25 at that time.
Okay.
So I had actually finished my studies, and I studied engineering.
Mm-hmm.
I worked in industry for a few years.
Oh.
In Bristol. I moved to Bristol for three years or so.
Oh, okay.
And that is really where I actually had a good chance to delve more seriously into Krishna consciousness. Prior to that, I was visiting Bhaktivedanta Manor, my parents, because we used to live not so far away from the temple.
Oh, yeah.
But that would be just as a Sunday visitor would visit. Just typical Hindu family would come to the temple, maybe for Janmashtami or maybe on a Sunday, but without really much of a philosophical understanding or appreciation.
Mhm.
So that really took off when I started working in Bristol, and somehow Krishna sent some devotees from India at that time, and I connected to them through the Namahat group.
Mm.
And then over 2 to 3 years, I had some regular association, and we developed a morning program, the Mangalarti, etc., before work. And I learnt many things, really. I would say those were my formative philosophical years.
Was that a kind of live-in group, Sangha? I mean, were some of you living in the same place so that you could gather in the morning like that?
We were close.
Oh.
We were actually working at different companies, but we met through the Namahat group, and then I would generally drive to the other devotees' house.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So in the morning we would do that, and sometimes in the evening we would cook together also, and offer that. And those were really my first experiences in the basic practices of Krishna consciousness. So looking back, it was a very sweet and unusual time, and I could never have guessed that would lead me to what I'm doing now.
Indeed. I think this aspect is common to many of us when we think of sort of before and after. Some of us could say like that, before, I never would have dreamed that I would become a Hare Krishna, something like that.
Krishna has a way of giving us a different direction to our expectations.
Yeah.
I remember something His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj said once in a retreat. He said that Krishna consciousness is absolutely amazing, but it will be nothing like you imagined it to be. So whatever expectations we have for how Krishna will manifest in our lives over the years, it doesn't work out like that. I can probably say from experience that's definitely true.
You want to say that again? I think that's a good one to remember.
Yes, His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj said that Krishna consciousness is an amazing experience, and it will be an amazing experience, but it will be nothing like what you expect it to be.
Yeah, one could take that as cause for some anxiety, like, uh-oh, if it's something that it's going to be different from what I expect, I'm not so sure. Maybe it's amazing, but I don't know if I want that. I don't know if I want it to be that amazing.
Yes, that aversion to adventure. I guess I had that to some degree at that time also. I was about to embark upon the standard start in life. Finished studies, got a job, and then I would have started to look to become settled, and then have the family obligations and all of that. So Krishna gave me a special taste just before I got settled too much.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So I was thinking at the time when I made the decision to come to Bhaktivedanta Manor, it was not meant to be a permanent adventure. It was initially done as a 6-month break. And so I'd requested permission from my company to spend 6 months exploring and engaging in some charity work.
Oh, okay.
And so they gave me that permission. And so I still had the job to go back to if I wanted it.
Right.
But then during the adventure, I basically joined the Bhakti Shastri course that was running at the manor at the time. And Shruti Prabhu and other devotees were teaching that.
Oh, okay.
So I basically entered into that. And then I really realized that there is so much more to explore, that 6 months simply won't be enough.
You were captured.
I was captured by a full spectrum of activities. The philosophy was, of course, mind-blowing, from the Gita and then all the 3 other books, Ishopanishad, Nectar of Instruction, Nectar of Devotion. But then also I got a taste for preaching, because the devotees would drag me to different sanghas, spontaneously would force me to speak something. And I realized that those living outside the temple actually experience a very special taste when someone from the temple comes to see them. And it's not always apparent to when you're actually inside the temple.
Right.
And it was very, very enlivening also to see that devotees would be working, they would have vibrant families, they would have a great deal of responsibility. And yet somehow they would make it a point to be determined to have a regular Sangha, go to the temple for programs, sometimes very early in the morning. And I was very much inspired by that as being not just a path for me in an isolated way to follow, but something that could actually be relevant for wider society.
Could you say something about this wider community, sort of extending out from Bhaktivedanta manner, of families who are, as you described, somehow in the working world and also engaged, having programs and so on?
Yes. There are, I suppose, now over the years, over the last 20, 30, 40 years, a large number of families have come. And newer groups, of course, are joining on a regular basis, and new groups are starting up with new families joining. So there must be several hundred families now, several hundred, several thousand, possibly even, around the country.
Wow.
We never quite know exactly where Vana's influence ends.
Right.
Because
I know the manor also has a very substantial number of volunteers, as they're called, I think, for festivals. Whenever there's a festival, so many people come, and there's so many volunteers who sort of manage everything. As I remember hearing, there's more than 1,000 such volunteers. Is that possible?
yes, I think the figure is more like 2,000 to 3,000 now.
Oh, wow.
But as typically happens, is the statistics include those who maybe are not so committed.
Right. Yeah.
So we used to have at Janmashtami, we would have 600 volunteers, maybe 800, then 1,000. But most of those you would not see again. Say maybe 600 of them you wouldn't see again for the rest of the year.
Right. Yeah.
So for them, it was an adventure that they would come to a large event, a large Krishna's party, basically.
Right. Right.
Once a year, and they would engage in all sorts of activities they would never do.
Right.
In those days, before health and safety was so much of a meditation, devotees would be climbing trees, climbing up poles, erecting tents, doing activities which they couldn't have imagined normally to be in their nature.
Right.
DIY, cutting wood, planting, acting even.
Oh, yeah.
And so that community is there. And I guess over the years, the Volunteer Care Council has made it a point to try to cultivate their the depth of their Krishna consciousness.
Right.
So many of those volunteers are now, you could say, serious devotees, and many still won't be in terms of that description.
Yeah.
And that's their start in life also, and their start in spiritual life.
Right.
So they had that special flavor of worldly expertise with now a desire to somehow come to Krishna and somehow offer some of it to Krishna.
Mm. Yeah, and there's a whole spectrum, isn't there, of commitment. Yeah. I wrote something about this in an article that's been recently published about ISKCON and the Hindu diaspora, how there's this spectrum of commitment. It's interesting to see. So then you were in the Bhakti Shastri course, and presumably you decided, well, I should stay in the course and complete it, right?
Yes. Well, the course was done within 3 months anyway.
Oh,
Uh,
back in those days, you
maybe a
could.
little longer, maybe 4 months. It was a residential 5 lessons, morning and afternoon, 5 days a week.
Oh, okay.
It was the
Right.
immersion experience.
Yeah, yeah.
And then after that, then Janmashtami came, and so we were engaged in that preparation with the running of the festival and all sorts of other activities.
Mhm.
And Kartik came, and at that time we started. We were the new boys who had joined, and the ladies also. We had a few ladies who had also done the Bhakti Shastri with us.
Mhm.
We all started a program of university preaching. So we started regularly going to the different universities nearby. I would go to Hertford University regularly, and then
Mhm.
also in central London, UCL, King's College, SOAS,
Mm.
and we would have many nice discussions. And these are also fluid.
Mm.
The particular universities that are contacted in any particular year.
Fluid in the sense that each year will be a different mix.
Yes, yes, because it depends on the students who are there and whether they have the enthusiasm to make the arrangements from the
Right.
official college side
Right.
to be able to invite us.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't just from the outside come in and do something. Yeah.
Yes, but we would have many nice exchanges with the staff when we were there also. We would, of course, use our secret weapon, prasadam. And
Of course.
so we would arrive at the universities with a few different items, and would happily give them out to the car park, to those managing the car parking and the different officials we would find, the caretakers. We ended up having a very good relationship with them, and they would accommodate us nicely also.
Uh-huh.
Once in SOAS, the university or the canteen decided, they passed a rule within their organizational bodies that no distribution of food could take place except from the canteen.
Right. Right.
Because
Yeah. Yeah.
we would, whenever we had a program, we would distribute prasadam, and of course the students loved it.
Yeah.
And Parashuram, with his Food for All, would also then visit those universities at other times and give out free prasadam to everyone. So they felt it was a slight infringement on their profit-making capability.
Oh, yes.
So they they made this rule that we would no longer be able to serve. But then what happened is all the students started a campaign on our behalf.
Ah, yes. That's what happened at University of Florida, where
Yes, they have a famous distribution program there for many years.
famously they have Krishna's lunch since must be over 40 years now.
Hare Krishna, what an achievement.
Yeah.
And then eventually that all, they boycotted the cafe actually.
Ah.
And so until we were allowed back on the premises, they experienced a different flavor.
So there were enough students to make this boycott to make it meaningful.
Yes, I
That's
think it was
very
a
interesting.
package of measures. They started the protest, they wrote some letters, and
Mhm.
would also avoid going to the canteen. And
Mm.
maybe not everyone participated, but there was enough, because we would distribute prasadam without discrimination, and all students would take it. So it's a secret and a secret weapon, you can say,
Yes, yes.
making friends universally.
Speaking of secret weapons, Kali Parayan, I don't know if you saw the message. Avadhuta Rai suggests prepare a lot of prasadam for the thieves. Now I can imagine the thieves would come and you would offer them some, cookies or whatever. They would say, no, 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 we won't take. Why? Because they're fearful that maybe it's poisonous. And so you could demonstrate, you freely mix the cookies, let's say, and then you eat one yourself. And that shows, no, it's not, it's our religion. We give food to everyone, even the thieves. That could be interesting. So, yes, prasadam distribution in London University's Ki Jai.
Yes. So that continued for some time. So preaching, university preaching, and then I started taking on board other services at the temple. I got heavily involved on the IT side.
Mhm.
I was previously engaged as an engineer,
Right.
design, technical side, and
Mhm.
software also. So then I decided to dovetail some of those skills for Krishna service. So we often hear about that. And I thought, let's do it in practice. So I
Mhm.
did, and that was really the time in those in that mid to late part of the 2000 decade that the whole IT side was expanding in a large way.
Oh, yeah.
Internet was expanding everywhere, and from the 102 modem lines, we then expanded to fiber backbone everywhere across the premises, and everything kicked off. We started the broadcasts, we started all the connecting up all the different premises on site and off site,
Mm.
website. And then the multiple community groups started to get their own identities, the volunteers, the
Uh-huh.
school, the university teams, and then they all started operating their different sites. And it was that time Mayapur TV was taking off, so we were part of that.
Oh, yes. Mayapur TV. That was a thing. They were showing even, and that was quite astonishing that one could just go online and see a whole, for example, morning program in Mayapur live online. That was quite astonishing.
Yes, it actually helped spread the connection that devotees would have with the temple, any temple, I guess, spread it beyond its geographic locality.
Yeah.
So then we found that there were devotees around the country who would then start to see the manor or Mayapur or Soho Street. We're also doing broadcasts. They would start to see them as almost their local temple. That was a very interesting dynamic.
They start to identify with a certain temple.
Yes, and if for some reason there was a technical problem or the broadcast didn't take place, we would then get complaints
Right.
from around the world. So that was a very interesting phase. And of course,
Now,
during that time, I kept a strong preaching focus also. I carried on my own reading and in Sanga preaching mainly, and then other programs as they would turn up.
Now, before we go into your teaching of Shastra courses, so your parents would bring you to the temple before you went to Bristol occasionally, and now fast forward, you're in the manor full time as a brahmachari, and you're no longer working as an engineer in Bristol. So what are your parents saying?
Yes, it was quite difficult for them. And it remained something that they were very much astonished, and you could even say against.
Do you have brothers and sisters?
I have one sister.
Uh-huh.
One sister. She's now married, settled, working. She has kids, etc. But definitely it was something of a shock for my parents.
Mm-hmm.
They had a connection with the philosophy, of course, and worshipping Krishna wasn't something
Yeah.
new for them.
Yeah.
But still, there was this mentality of, do this later.
Mm.
So it can be done in retirement.
Yeah.
The powerful philosophy that I would hear from Prahlad Maharaj's teachings, and then also from the devotees who would point out that what will you actually do when you're old if you take up Krishna consciousness at age
Omaram acharit pragyo
Yes.
karman bhagavatanya. Yeah.
What could you actually do substantially at age 70? And looking around, I could very much see that as the reality, that when families would be at that age,
Mm.
what they would be engaged in would be looking after the grandchildren.
Right.
They would have a whole new set of household duties.
Yeah.
And because there was no taste that was cultivated during their formative years, their younger years, when much of the, if in programming terms, you could say much of the software paths are laid down,
Yeah.
it doesn't just suddenly develop at that advanced age.
Right.
Because then those faculties are also decreasing, and most people do not like to explore in any substance completely new paradigms of life.
Mm.
So I could see there was it was wishful thinking that someone would just automatically become very devotional at an old age.
Yeah.
And that's assuming we would make it that far.
Yes.
Once I started hearing about danger at every step, and just turning on the news, you could literally see danger at every step. One person or another was suffering, something unexpected happened in their lives,
Mm-hmm.
and their future life direction was completely changed with no notice at all. So it seemed to me something that was more of a deferral tactic rather than a substantial alternative.
That's a good way to put it, a deferral tactic. Yeah.
And so somehow I had to deal with that. I always kept a very close sort of connection with my parents. I would visit them regularly.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't abandon them or anything, and I would do whatever was expected in terms of the household items, bearing in mind they were getting old as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I would take care of all of those things that were required for them.
Mm-hmm.
So in that sense, I felt that I would be doing my duty to them by becoming a devotee.
Yeah.
Because we also understand that if one person becomes a devotee in a family, then the whole family benefits.
That's the real thing, isn't it? That's
And,
the real point.
And the benefit the family gets is incomparable
Mm.
to the normal options.
Mm-hmm.
Normally, if there was a good son or a good daughter, what could they do for the parents? They could maybe make them a little comfortable, give them maybe finance to fulfill their unfulfilled desires, maybe visit exotic places, do some hobbies, but not much beyond that. What else is there that the material world can actually offer?
Yeah.
The chance to be connected to another realm, I felt, was the biggest prize.
Have they come to appreciate that more?
Yes, I think they have. My father passed away a few years ago.
Oh.
And before that, he definitely became a lot more favorable.
Mm-hmm.
He developed a little bit of an attachment to Lord Nrsingadev. And my mother has been a little more reserved over the years,
Mm-hmm.
but she values also the path that I've taken. She appreciates it now.
Oh, that's good.
And she appreciates that, even though it's not something that she would have done or probably still wishes I had not done. She can see that there are far worse things that I could have done instead.
Ah, that's good. That's good that she sees it that way. Why not?
So it's been an interesting, interesting aspect actually of my Krishna consciousness, dealing with the protests from the family side.
Mm.
And in some way, I feel Krishna gave me that chance, made me go through that, just in order to realize how comprehensively entangled and meshed we are, enmeshed within the workings of this material world.
Enmeshed. I don't know if our translators will know how to translate that word. It's, but it's a nice word. Enmeshed is like, well, we always hear the word entangled, but enmeshed is kind of the deeper level of entanglement. It's like entangled multiple ways, I suppose you could say, isn't it?
Yes. And so it would always bring to mind, actually, I guess I developed a certain sort of affinity with the verse from the Bhagavatam, which speaks of this, persons who are entangled in the complicated meshes of birth and death can be freed just by even chanting the holy name, which is feared by fear personified.
Right.
So I could literally see through this experience just how deep that entanglement is.
Mm-hmm.
And thinking back, I realized that this is really a great medicine that we've been given, because the entanglement is extensive, hundreds of lifetimes, maybe. We've been in this realm maybe for millions, we hear. We don't know the exact number.
Who knows, huh?
But
The story about Lord Buddha, when he sits down, under the Bodhi tree and meditates, and then he's has this sort of dramatic night of challenges, which culminate in his, as it's called, enlightenment. That part of what he experienced was his many past lives, that they all sort of, I guess, ran before his eyes. Anyway, that just came to mind. Yeah, so you've wrestled out of the meshes, let's say, of what could be an especially entangling situation, I would think, of a family which is, I'm guessing, a kind of extended family. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, of a Gujarati background. Is that right?
actually, Marathi, from Maharashtra.
Marathi. Oh, Marathi. Oh, okay. Probably the same in that sense of the web of relationships.
Yes.
Nice.
So
congratulations for pushing through like this.
thank you, Maharaj. It's definitely not been easy at times.
Yeah.
And that's been I guess a part of Krishna's testing process for me. Exactly how serious am I?
Yeah. So one way that you've been engaging seriously is in teaching, teaching Shastra. And as you mentioned, you've been so kind to invite me when I'm in the area of the manor to come and speak to your students. Maybe you can tell us about this journey, something.
Yes, this journey is very, very unique and again unplanned in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
initially my journey started as probably similar to most people, someone giving me the Bhagavatam. So a friend, a devotee friend, actually gave me the first volume of the first canto, the blue covered volume
with all of the planets of Vaikuntha.
Yes, that's right. It is a very beautiful book.
Mm-hmm.
Just looking at the book, that's it. Lalita Mataji has it there.
Yeah.
Very beautiful cover, very, very attractive actually.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would read it. Now, over the years, so I guess since I joined maybe 2003, 2000, probably I started reading properly around 2004 after all the Bhakti Shastri studies had finished properly.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would read, but I somehow never quite got it done as a regular, consistent, methodical activity. I would pick up the book and read whenever I wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
And I was actually mesmerized by the language within the Bhagavatam, the sheer elegance and poetry of the verses, the translations. And it was especially interesting that somehow there was this combination or a weaving together of a story, which itself is quite intricate, and a philosophy which is exceptionally elaborate.
Mm-hmm.
Somehow the two are intertwined. And the scene and the setting actually demonstrated the conclusions of the philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
Now I think about the incident with Uttara as one example. Uttara was there, Ashwatthama had fired the Brahmastra,
Mm-hmm.
was supposed to kill the embryo in her womb, Parikshit Maharaj. A physically dangerous situation. And so she turns to Krishna and offers prayers to Krishna.
Mm-hmm.
And then Krishna covers her with this potency, and that incident is resolved. And then Uttara offers prayers of gratitude to Krishna. And then Queen Kunti takes the cue from that.
Uh-huh.
Then she offers very elaborate prayers, which are very much connected to that incident that has just taken place.
Mm-hmm.
She brings out depths of philosophy, tattva, shastric wisdom, which is then somehow distilled and expressed through a set of poetry again, poetic words.
Yeah.
And
the Bhagavatam is all poetry, isn't it?
yes. And during those prayers, she expresses quite serious subject matters. Items such as cutting off my tie of affection for my own kinsman. Please sever my tie of affection.
Mm.
Janma Ishwarya Shruta Shri Bir. All these items, birth, high
serious stuff.
Krishna easily, if one desires to progress materially through birth, old age, birth, high parentage, wealth, knowledge. And this somehow was perfectly a purport to what had just happened with Uttara.
You could say also it's a purport to what is about to happen, which is Krishna's about to leave.
Yes.
So he's going to leave and go back to Dvaraka. And so if he's leaving, how does he protect? Because you could say her theme, her main theme is the Lord's protection, right?
Mm-hmm.
She has experienced, the Pandavas have experienced all of the trouble, and they've experienced his protection. Now he's leaving, so she's kind of expressing anxiety, and maybe we could say mixed with confidence at the same time.
Yes.
And then she offers that bombshell of a prayer. Vipada santuta shashvat tatra tatra jagatguru bhavato darshanam yat syat apunar bhava darshanam. You want to tell what that verse says?
If you can get me started, Maharaj,
Well, I don't know the exact wording of the English, but it's her prayer, please give me more trouble.
Yes. May those calamities come again and again.
Yeah.
For by experiencing those calamities, we see you again and again.
Yes. And by having your darshan, we do not have darshan of repeated birth and death. Apunar bhava darshanam. Yeah.
Yes, that hankering, that sight of Krishna protects one from birth and death.
Yeah. So that's kind of a bombshell of a prayer, I think. Give me more trouble. Vipada.
Yes.
Santu, let there be more. So yes, you're studying, you were reading first canto Bhagavatam, and then?
Well, I carried on. I got particularly attracted to some of the verses in the second chapter, and I started to read those in more detail, and maybe I think even learnt some of them just during my own personal reading time. And then I guess several years I was engaged in service of the IT nature, then preaching and all of that, and then simultaneously reading. And at some point I decided that I'm enjoying my experience of reading the Bhagavatam, but what would it be like to actually immerse myself in it and study it properly? That thought process developed.
You dared to think that.
Yes. And I was always fearful of what the temple authorities would say. No, you're supposed to be here to do service, not necessarily to go off and fulfill your philosophical fantasies.
Not to indulge your philosophical curiosity.
Yes, Prashadam hall needs to be cleaned. So many things need to be done here. You simply just cannot spend too much time doing this. So, so it was a form of what was the phrase I used? Deferred spirituality. But you can do this later.
Yeah.
But
like the parents are saying.
Yes. But I stuck with it. I stuck with that thought, and it didn't mature immediately. But then at some point I decided that it would be really nice to do this. And somehow the notion of going to Mayapur to do the Bhakti Vaibhav came up. And so I did that. And the temple was very happy at that time because they could see that would help me further in preaching. I was already giving classes and preaching at that time in different forums. So this would be a nice asset, and certainly Shruti Dharma Prabhu and other devotees were very supportive of that. So I went in 2010 during the summer period, which was something new for me. Summer in India in Mayapur.
Yes.
The hottest period from end of March till July.
Oh yeah.
That was a real shock for me. I had never experienced anything like that with the humidity.
Yeah.
But after maybe 3 weeks, it took me to get used to it. By that time, the temperature was 40 degrees during the day. And at night, it wouldn't go below 30. And that was possibly the most tricky part.
Yes.
That was tough. But I became familiar with it. And then we would have the regular daily lessons. And then every afternoon, we would go off to the Ganga and see half of Mayapur in the Ganga at that time. Spend a good 2 to 4 hours there. Chananivas Prabhu, Pankajangri Prabhu, all our teachers were all there.
Yes.
And it was really enjoyable. Those barriers weren't there at that time. It was all nice and open, and many devotees would swim quite long distances out.
Oh, really?
And of course, during that summer period, it's safer because the water level goes right down
Oh,
and the
okay.
current almost disappears.
Oh, yeah.
So it was actually very, very soothing, very refreshing, and a wonderful dimension to the daily regular study of the Bhagavatam.
Bhagavatam plus Ganga
Plus Ganga,
equals ecstasy.
plus Panchatattva darshan every day.
Yeah.
The endless feasts at Mayapur. Someone would also always be sponsoring something for some part of the community.
Yeah.
Very nice indeed. It was a wonderful period. And so I did the first module, which was 3 cantos in 2010. And then the following year I went back, this time during the Kartik semester, which is from November to February.
Much easier to manage.
Much easier, but a shock in a different way.
Cold.
Very cold. December and January, so cold.
Yeah.
I had this thermometer in my room and it was showing 16 degrees. And if any of you want to kind of experience, maybe some of you are from cold places, but in the UK, even when it's cold outside, you know, the heating's on and it's
Right.
21,
Warm
22,
inside.
23, whatever you want. But 15 degrees is freezing.
Yeah.
Very, very cold. And of course, we went for the full austerity program, just we were staying in the ashram there. No hot water either.
Oh.
That was special. On the particularly cold days, we would boil up a kettle and do a bucket bath. So that was that setting for the Bhagavatam study. And definitely swimming in the Ganga didn't happen during that phase.
No.
Very cold and the water was very high as well. So we would go maybe just to have a purifying bath rather than to immerse.
Dip. A quick dip.
And there, of course, over those 2 years, 2.5 years, by the mercy of the devotees, I also developed a great attraction for the Bhagavatam and learnt many verses. And I've come to appreciate those verses, which are basically the verses that Srila Prabhupada would quote very frequently.
Right.
And so those have been distilled down into the memorization verses for the different books, whether it's Bhakti Shastri or the Bhagavatam. And I found them to be like an armory of, I mean, maybe weapons is the wrong word, but sometimes there is a philosophical doubt. It needs to be dealt with a weapon, jnana asina, the sword of knowledge.
Also, Prabhupada makes that point that the word Shastra is related to the word Shastra. They're both derived from the Shas Dhatu, the verbal root to, I don't know, to control. And then where is it said? It's said, maybe anyway, Prabhupada would say, if one does not follow Shastra, then one will be forced to be under the control of Shastra. If one does not agree to be controlled by Shastra, one will be under the control of Shastra, weapon. So there is that relationship.
Right.
So you came back to the manor and they said, all right, now you have your armory.
Yes.
And you have your degree. So was it at that time they were developing a course for the manor?
Yes, well, they basically said to me, Shruti Tamapu basically said, why don't we start teaching Bhakti Vaibhav here at the manor? We had been teaching Bhakti Shastri for many years. That was going quite successfully and regularly. And then a batch of students had collected now who had done that, and they were thirsty and eager for something more.
Shruti Dharma was always a very forward-thinking devotee. I mean, he had so many amazing qualities, but I think as a manager also, he was very forward thinking, wasn't he? He
Yes.
encouraged you to go to Mayapur and study and then took the next logical step in a way.
Yes, I very much appreciate his particular involvement and encouragement of me. And in many ways, I see analogies between that and many of the preaching episodes we come across in the Bhagavatam. Especially, I think of Narad Muni, who preaches to all sorts of interesting persons, a whole colorful array of characters, you can say. And he says things to them and encourages them in a particular path, which is quite unconventional in many ways. To the hunter, he says, kill the animal completely.
Yeah.
To Prachina King
Prachina
Barishat, he gives the analogy of Puranjan. His own story, but just portrayed with different names.
He holds up a mirror to the king. Yes.
And then is it to Ravana or Kamsa, where he directs him to continue his program of atrocities, just in order to accelerate appearance.
Yeah, when you put it like that, that's very creative preaching.
So I felt there was an aspect of Shruti Dharma Prabhu in that he would engage different devotees in different items, in different aspects of service.
Yeah.
And would not go down a stereotyped path where everyone, okay, you're in the temple, you must do this, A, B, C, and that's your day, done. It was a lot more of an intelligent application, I certainly felt, which was based on maturity. And so
and genuine care for the devotees, right?
Yes, definitely. That was you could feel that. And I always valued that presence, and I try to think how that can manifest in other situations now.
I'm thinking there's so many things you could tell about your experience of teaching, but I'm watching our clock. We kind of keep to a time. And I wanted to ask you about the writing aspect of your teaching. I know that in the Shastra courses, the devotees are called upon to write. And I want to say also, I didn't, before this, properly thank you for the very nice foreword that you wrote for our first volume of Voyaging Through the Bhagavatam.
Yes.
Thank you for that. But maybe you could say something about how do you encourage devotees to write? I'm always trying to encourage devotees to write, and some they love to do it, and for others it's like pulling teeth.
Yes. I can say I have experience of both of those from different students. The writing requirements actually are they don't have so much of a creative element to them in terms of meeting the requirements of the syllabus. There are to keep things in a contained and manageable level for the operation of the course. The questions are normally quite specific, and within 600 to 800 words, and that's the encouragement. The student is supposed to answer that question, giving in something of a methodical manner.
Yeah.
So they learn to do that, and I see a spectrum of different responses coming in, and this is one part of the course which I really like. From Srila Prabhupada's words, we often hear seeing the Bhagavatam from many angles of vision.
Right.
And one tangible way is through reading essays from students.
Oh, yes.
sometimes I come away refreshed actually after doing that.
Yeah.
I don't particularly like to mark those essays.
Right.
I do that as an austerity,
Yeah.
just to see if they've actually met the requirements in terms of have they actually answered the question.
Right.
Sometimes there are questions which are related to personal application.
Mm.
What we want to hear from the students in those questions is something very personal, not theoretical, not that it applies to others, but
Mhm.
something for themselves. For example, the question may be, after your reading of this purport, how has this improved your determination to chant more sincerely?
Mm.
That could be a type of question. And so the types of things I personally like to hear are genuine features from their own lives.
Mm-hmm.
One student may say that I'm at home with my family, and none of them like to chant, and they don't like me chanting. And then they come out with a program that they will now follow based upon their study of that section.
Uh-huh.
So that's very nice to see, because it is an element of putting the maybe theoretical concepts that we've studied into real life practice. And when you see 8 to 9 students doing this, and there will always be a few who miss it completely and do something else, it gives you a set of perspectives.
Yeah.
That also adds a lot of potency for general preaching and teaching also. In terms of when we do sangas with family members and in maybe larger groups in the halls,
Mm-hmm.
you get a full perspective of what are the practical items that trouble people on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
That somehow hold them back from expressing their devotional practice fully.
Mm.
So that's just one example from the personal application criteria.
Mm.
But some devotees do really struggle. I found some have not had the chance to write much, or have never done it well, or never liked doing it.
Yeah.
And in
And
one
I
sense,
have a bad experience from school. So
yes,
it's kind of
yes,
overcoming trauma sort of thing.
yes. And so some of them, it's a bit of a back to school experience.
Yeah.
And actually, I found it quite amusing. Actually, sometimes grown adults will actually almost revert to children in that environment. In a nice way. It's a very sort of innocent and fun way. But you see the childlike tendencies starting to come out again.
They'll write in a very simple way, like in primary school.
Yes, and they'll complain when the test is due and things like that.
Yeah.
So it's refreshing, because in one sense, structurally in their minds, they've now been in adulthood for many decades. Maybe they've gone through the whole family thing. They've raised their own children. They've almost forgotten what it's like to be in a class again with a teacher with homework to do. That's quite a
Homework.
novel concept.
Yeah.
Some people
Like,
are.
oh no, not again.
Homework. But some of them really embrace it. And over the years, I also saw, right from my first group to, I think I've covered maybe 4 or 5 cycles now of Bhagavatam teaching. 3 at Bhaktivedanta Manor, 1 at Soho Street, and 1 is currently in progress. So that's about 5 complete sets of Bhagavatam teaching.
That includes, now you're also doing Bhaktivedanta, right?
Yes, although at the manor I'm not teaching that as a formal course. There isn't really enough demand to justify the length of time it would take.
Oh,
on our once a week basis.
right.
In Mayapur, you would have 4 modules of 3.5 months each. If we reformatted that at according to the Manners timescale of 1 lesson per week. That would take 8 years, I calculated. And you would have lost most people by
Yeah. Who's going to stick that through? Stick it out.
So we had some of our stalwarts, like Charlotte, of course. She survived one set of Srimad Bhagavatam studies. And then we started this. So I called it the Srimad Bhagavatam Jewels. So we've done Canto 7, 8, and 9, and we're shortly about to start Canto 10. And the notion was that with this was that rather than a full course with all the homework and the tests, it would be would have more of a meditative element.
Oh, okay.
And so I would give a little handout for each class, be based on that particular chapter, and we would have things like points for reflection within there. We would encourage students to read the material thoroughly, and then after our discussion to then reflect on a certain point. Look at it maybe from different viewpoints as to maybe some of the concepts spoken about are now unfashionable in society. Maybe some of them may be the ideal path for a devotee to follow, but perhaps practical realities of life prevent them doing that.
Right.
So I started this, and the jewels was to help create a sense of, we're now going to try and mine jewels from the Bhagavatam. Find little gems. As Prabhupada says in the first canto, the earth, when Mother Earth is happy, she produces in abundance.
Yes.
Cows abundantly give milk. There are fruits, vegetables, flowers in the fields. The seas and the hills produce minerals and jewels and everything necessary for human life.
And the grass is growing. It's like the hair on the body of the earth is ecstatic, expressing ecstasy. Yes. So nice.
We started this mining course, as I call it now, the mining course.
How many devotees are taking part?
We have about 10 at the moment, 10 to 12. So that's a very nice group size. We may have a few more this time around, because as the number of batches increase from the previous Bhakti Vaibhav, some of them then wish to join. And this will be Canto 10, which will take practically 2 years to do, actually, at the rate of 1 per week, because there are 90 chapters.
Yeah.
So it's not really a course that is meant to deliver a qualification to you. It's meant to be a companion for your life. Yeah,
and that's actually what matters the most anyway. It's not about getting degrees and whatever. It's about how we imbibe what we hear and what we read. And I know you're facilitating that in wonderful ways. And I want to encourage you and let it increase, as Prabhupada would say.
Thank you very much, Maharaj. Your blessings are very valuable.
Our time pretty much came to an end already. I would have liked to invite devotees to ask you questions, but we do kind of keep to a time limit. But Tia is now asking, are these courses live streamed or on Zoom?
Yes, since the COVID drama started, we largely shifted all our courses online. And the first run, which lasted 2 to 3 years, was entirely online from about 2020. But we also started to miss something of the classroom interactions.
Yeah.
And those were very nice also, the chance to do group exercises with students together. And then also sometimes just to have a light-hearted moment with some prasadam.
Right.
Someone would bring a preparation they'd made and we would share it, and it would be very nice. So we've now kind of kept it online for 3 out of every 4 lessons. And then the 4th lesson, which normally involves a test, a short answer, a closed book test, 10 questions. We save that for an in-person lesson.
Right.
So it's kind of a hybrid at the moment, mostly online, but with a little bit of a personal contact.
My guess is that Tia's next question will be, can I join the online course?
Yes, we are just currently completing Canto 6. We've just completed Canto 5 with our currently running batch. We'll be starting Canto 6 within about 3 weeks, in 3 weeks' time. And then the plan is that some point after Janmashtami, depending on how it fits with the whole Karthik period coming, we will then launch the course again from scratch, from Canto 1, with a fresh intake.
So that's the Bhakti Vaibhava course.
Bhakti Vaibhava course, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Tia, was your question about the Jewels course or the Bhakti Vaibhava?
The Jewels course.
Oh, Jewels course, okay. Yes, you're welcome to join if you're interested. We can send you details. Charlotte, maybe do you have a contact with her? If you have a contact, you could forward her the sign up once I've circulated it.
Yeah, we can get that organized.
So we'll be starting 8th of April is our tentative start date at the moment.
Oh, for Canto 10 you're talking about. Yeah. Yeah, I can share the details with anybody who would like.
Good, good. At this point, I'll say Navadvipa Candra Prabhu Ki Jai. Thank you for joining us, giving us your time, sharing with us your enthusiasm, which is, I think it's contagious. Makes me want to go read the Bhagavatam immediately. And my thanks to all of you who have been translating. I see now it looks like Savitri Shama, you're translating. Du übersetzt in deutsche Sprache. Vielen Dank. And we have had, what do I want to say? Manibanda translating and Kavi Chandra, I believe, also. So my thanks to all of you for that. And I want to wish all of you a wonderful coming week. Please stay safe. Please stay sane. Chant and be happy. And yes, have a good week engaging in Krishna's service in the many different ways that are possible.
Guru Maharaj, if I can say.
Yes.
Dira Lalita Mataji, she's translating today for the first time as well from Indonesian language, yes.
Oh, therefore she has earphones on. Yes, thank you for translating into Prevatsky. Very good. Okay. And all our good wishes to Mendoza devotees. I was speaking with Kali Parayana and Vrajabhakti a little earlier. May Krishna protect you all in all respects. Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Gaur Premanande Hari Hari.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Bye bye. Hare Krishna.
Bye bye.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.